My name is Manish Jaiswal, and I'm 92 batch VRC. My colleague and friend Vijay Sakre, the Commissioner of Police, Cochin. But today he will talk more like a batchmate, an engineer, and one amongst us. I requested him to drop his vardi, topi, shopi, everything behind and speak from heart. So we were just trying to understand from Vijay. He's got a terrific responsibility, and I can truly understand what the Indian police is battling on the streets, how they are controlling and managing situation. It's absolutely complicated, but more we will touch on those elements a little while from now. But in between, let's go back to the college days. तो विजय, आपको हमारा रियूनियन हुआ, हम लोग बड़े 25 साल के बाद मिले, कैसा लगा आपको रियूनियन में मिलने के बाद?
It was fantastic, yeah. I thought कि जिंदगी में कोई important काम हुआ है तो हमारे दोस्तों से मिलना हुआ है, क्योंकि what I have realized after donning uniform is what matter is, as I was pointing out earlier, what matter is your bonding, your team, and your teamwork to get a particular job done. And unless you have that bonding, you will not be able to achieve much. So, as you know, I was parachuted in VRC in second year. So I didn't knew many people. The first year is the year when you get to know almost everyone. You are departmentless. So हम second year में आए थे, तो I didn't knew many of them. So I can frankly tell you, I met many of them for the first time properly. VRC में हम देखते थे एक दूसरे को, लेकिन बात कभी हुई नहीं. इस समय बात हुई, दोस्ती हुई, पहचान हुई. So I feel it was a great event, and I could get to know all of them, which reunion has really, and 25 साल के बाद हम मिले, we caught up, everybody was changed. कुछ लोगों को तो मैं personally जानता था, and it was absolutely fantastic knowing them and how they have changed, how they have grown, and wonderful. I think we should meet more often.
Fabulous. So which means that even after 25 years, the connections of friendship, those bonds, people still miss it, right? I mean, though you meet many people in your lifetime, but कुछ अलग ही बात होती है स्कूल के दोस्तों की, कॉलेज के दोस्तों की.
You can trust them.
And trust them. So when can I trust you for the next reunion?
My invitation is open. यार, as soon as COVID gets...
इसका जवाब कैसे दें? अगला reunion कब होगा, ये बताइए.
अगला reunion जैसे ही COVID खत्म होता है, let us do it in Kerala.
नहीं, यही तो सवाल है कि अगला reunion का आप तारीख बताइए. COVID कब खत्म होगा?
कोविड कब खत्म होगा? यार, ये बड़ा डिफिकल्ट सवाल है. कोविड कब खत्म होगा? सब लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं इसका जवाब ढूंढने के लिए. पहले था कि महीने भर में हो जाएगा, अब कहते हैं कि हो सकता है ईयर एंड हो जाए. मुझे लगता है, इफ यू थिंक लॉजिकली, कोविड तब खत्म होगा जब वैक्सीन बनेगी. तो वैक्सीन बनने में कम से कम मिनिमम 18 मंथ्स की जरूरत होती है. वी रिक्वायर 18 मंथ्स, दैट इज मिनिमम टाइम. Already, a lot of people are claiming that they have done a lot of research and they are on the verge of discovering or inventing a vaccine. I don't believe that. I feel it will take at least 2 years for vaccine to come. So once vaccine comes, then this problem is over. After that, basically COVID is something like a flu.
You're touching a very serious point, that the assumption here is the vaccine will come. Anyway, let me come to that point again. I'm still stuck at the college level.
Okay.
So I am trying to say that, जैसे मान लो अभी ये वैक्सीन जब आए तब आए, हमारा रियूनियन हुआ, सारे लोग आए हमारे, तो अगला रियूनियन कुछ कैसा होगा, मैं उसका कल्पना कर रहा हूँ. सब क्या आएंगे, से करें, अब की बार वो कौन से गाना गाएंगे, रुख से जरा नकाब उठाओ मेरे हुजूर, ऐसा कुछ होगा क्या ना रियूनियन? या पर्दे में रहने दो. तो मैं वही कल्पना कर रहा हूँ कि अगला रियूनियन होगा तो किस टाइप का होगा. आपको क्या लगता है विजय?
अगर कोविड रहा तो आप गले नहीं मिल पाओगे, चेहरा नहीं देख पाओगे, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग करोगे, हो सकता है रीयूनियन ऐसा ही हो जैसे आज हो रहा है ऑनलाइन.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate. I mean, though I was trying to say on a lighter note, the deeper subject is that somewhere there is a limit to what a digital interaction can achieve. And while you talk about vaccine, I'm saying, जैसे HIV की वैक्सीन आज तक निकली नहीं, SARS की वैक्सीन अभी तक निकली नहीं, तो अगर इसकी वैक्सीन नहीं निकले, फर्ज करो, तो दुनिया कैसी रहेगी? क्या क्या दिखता है?
Are you prepared to go serious at this point of time? वो तो
I'm just imagining. I'm imagining. कि सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है कि एज फ्रेंड्स सारे जितने भी इंजीनियर्स बैठे हैं यहाँ पे, यहाँ प्रोफेसर्स होंगे, एलुमनाई होंगे, स्टूडेंट्स होंगे, लोग को मन में एक डर होगा कि जाके अपने हॉस्टल में रहे तो कैसे रहें, जो रूम शेयर कर रहे हो कैसे रहते होंगे, मेस में कैसे खाना खाते होंगे, कैंटीन बंद होंगी, ये कैसे बाहर चाय पीते होंगे, दोस्तों में कैसे इंटरेक्शन होगा, क्लास में कैसे बैठ रहे होंगे. इतनी सारी कुछ चीजें लोगों के मन में एक आंधी तूफान चल रहा है. ये कब तक चलेगा ऐसा? ये बड़ा एक क्या कहते हैं इसको, घनोर या कठिन सवाल है. इसका जवाब कुछ आप पुलिस ऑफिसर्स को समझ में आ रहा है कि आप लोग क्या लगता है? कि अभी मैंने सिर्फ कॉलेज लाइफ पकड़ी, इंडस्ट्रीज और बाकियों को पकड़ा नहीं है, तो आपको क्या लगता है? व्हाट कैन यू इमेजिन?
चलो इस पे हम चर्चा कर लेते हैं. इसका जवाब बहुत डिफिकल्ट नहीं है यार. प्रॉब्लम यह है कि अगर वैक्सीन बन गई तो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व होगी. ओके, वैक्सीन बनने में 2 साल लग सकते हैं, 2.5 साल भी लग सकते हैं, 3 साल भी लग सकते हैं, 18 महीने भी लग सकते हैं. तो जब तक वैक्सीन नहीं बनती तब तक हमें वैसे ही जीना पड़ेगा जैसे अगर वैक्सीन नहीं बनती है तो हम जिएंगे. ओके, लेट अस थिंक ऑफ अ सिनेरियो कि वैक्सीन इन्वेंट नहीं हो पाती, 5 साल लग गए, तो क्या करेंगे? होगा ये कि अगर वैक्सीन नहीं बनेगी तो हमें सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग रख के अपनी लाइफ जीनी पड़ेगी. वी विल हैव टू टेक प्रिकॉशंस. लेकिन nature has its own way of solving such kind of problem. As we know, we have evolved from, हमारे पूर्वज बंदर थे, हम आदमी बन गए. So जैसे सिचुएशन बदलती है वैसे ह्यूमन का इवोल्यूशन भी होता है. So what is going to happen is all of us will get infected. All of us will eventually develop immunity. And as you must have heard, there would be something called as herd immunity. So herd immunity would be developed in the society, and after that, a COVID would be like any other flu. You will catch it and you will be immune and it is not going to affect you. But the problem is this process of developing herd immunity is a very difficult process. That means everybody should catch it at some point of time or other, and he or she should become immune. Now, what are the ramifications of this herd immunity development? If you see the fatality rate of COVID, it affects elderly people more. The people who are 60 years or more old, their fatality rate is 6%. Which is a huge number. So what will happen is, if I have parents, I have grandparents, if they catch infection in the process of getting herd immunity, there will be a grave danger of losing them. So, and if you take India, the population above 60 constitutes anywhere between 20 to 25%, which is huge number. Are we prepared to lose all of them? We are not. That is why you must have seen the fatalities in US are so high. In Europe, they are so high. So basically the people who have died are those who are old and who had some comorbidities. So if a vaccine is not invented, somehow we fail to invent a vaccine, then herd immunity will develop, but in the process we will lose lot of very precious lives. So that is what is going to happen. So our our endeavor, our effort is to ensure that we do not lose lives. If you become positive, it doesn't really matter. COVID is like any other flu. If your immune system is good, if your body can take you for 14 days, the virus will automatically go away. You have to somehow survive for 14 days. After that, you are immune. So if you become COVID positive, it does not mean you are going to die. It does not mean. So if you become once immune, catch COVID, uh, you will become immune from the virus. That everybody has to do that. But this process of becoming immune is very difficult for elderly people. They have comorbidities. Even the young people have comorbidities. If you have, then your body may not be able to pull through uh, for 14 days. And that is how fatalities happen. So what we will have to do is, if vaccine does not get invented.
Have we lost Vijay? Um,
So I think we lost Sir. He's joining back, it seems. Maybe the internet issue is there.
yeah, I guess so.
Can you see me?
We'll wait for him to relog in.
Can you see me?
Well, I can hear you, but not see you. You're like God right now. We can feel you, but we can't see you.
I can.
Check out your camera, Vijay.
My camera is on here. My camera is on. Yeah, but
I would suggest you can log out and log in again. I think even in technology, the Bajaj scooter technology never fails. I mean, you tilt it, kick it hard, it starts. So I guess even here, there's no option. Either you restart or you log out and log in. So friends, we are waiting for the Commissioner of Cochin City, Vijay Sakre, to log in again. We are 65 participants, I believe, from all over the globe. So far, I can see a whole lot of folks here. If any of you have any specific questions or interest for the Commissioner of Police, or as to how the police entire machinery is thinking of combating COVID, you may please feel free to raise your questions, and I'll be happy to grill our dear friend and pose this question. Vijay, you are back. Thanks again. So yeah, you're talking about herd immunity, and what I heard from you that there could be a very heavy price to pay, and as a country which really reveres its elderlies, and it's almost like an umbrella figure, it might be something which, as a nation, India may not be prepared to lose so many lives, especially of the elderly and sub 10, because that is where you mentioned fatalities are going to be very high.
Yeah. So that is why we have to think, if the situation comes to that, what are we going to do? So we will have to think of containment. We'll have to think of a way how to protect our elderly so that they do not catch infection. That means we will have to think of a strategy of reverse quarantine. That means this is what everybody is talking about now, so that we can protect our kids, we keep them in quarantine, we protect our elderly, we keep them in quarantine. And as the time passes, the virality of virus, it goes down. For example, SARS, it used to be it used to be highly virulent earlier. Fatality used to be more. Now it has gone down. So similarly, it is going to happen with the COVID also. The most important thing is we need to keep the fatality rate down, especially the vulnerable people. And only way that can be done is by containing the virus and ensuring that those people who are vulnerable, they do not get infected. And it is possible to do that. So till vaccine comes, the containment is the only way forward. And in a country like India, we will not be able to take the hit which US has done. They have lost more than 1 lakh lives. We cannot afford to do that. So whatever happens, we will have to ensure that we protect the lives, we save the lives of people. And till vaccine comes, the only way forward is containment. This is what we need to do. That is why social distancing is very important. That is why taking precautions is very, very important.
Yeah.
And
So
it is
Vijay,
not-
yeah, Vijay, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I can.
So
hear you.
maybe you can come a little closer to the mic. At times you are breaking, and I would just, there are a lot of questions which have begun to come. I will just take one by one. Okay, before I get there, while containment is certainly just no way out is an option, as in the police force, are you seeing any signs of deep psychological stress when people stay in the confines of the home? They are cut off socially. It's almost 2 months and more, and there is so much of disconnection. Offices are operating at 1/3 to 1/4 to 1/10. Salaries are getting cut. You have very little or no or less interaction. What do you think is happening in people's minds? What are they going through? The emotional energies are at its low. There's a deep psychological stress building in many cases. We actually are seeing two kinds of people. We see that there is the one kind who has become very inward, and they are doing meditation, they are doing immunity boosting, they are doing workouts, they are having homemade food, they are losing weight, and they are happy. But there is definitely a very large population, on the other hand, which is going through its own challenges. So, what do you think is the impact on the people at such a large level in the areas you're handling because of containment? What kind of challenges are people facing? What kind of challenges is the police facing? What are your own teams going through? It will be nice to really understand your perspective on this.
This is a very open-ended question, Manish, but I will try to break it into simpler things, and I'll try to answer the question. It is obviously a very, very important question which you have put forward. See, what happens is fear. You can see a lot of fear in the minds of people. And that fear is because of the fact that there is lack of knowledge about the problem. So there is a mindset that if a person catches COVID, he is going to die, which is not correct. So firstly, we have to understand that COVID is like any other flu, and if you catch it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to die. So that lack of awareness is rampant. That is one. So what can we do to correct this situation? So for that, we will have to understand what exactly, how much harm COVID can cause. And as we know, the cross section of India, we have a lot of illiteracy, lot of people staying in the rural areas. So how they are going to know? Simple thing is, if you have morbidities and if you are more than 60 elderly, then you have greater chance of fatality if you catch the COVID. That is one thing. Second thing is, for example, Nagpur or Mumbai, they are all huge cities. Delhi, they are 3 crore population, a lot of people come and go. So it does not mean that everybody is COVID positive. It doesn't mean. Only few people. For example, if I am not wrong, Mumbai has 80,000 people as COVID positive, whereas population is close to 2 crores. So what we have to think is, if you are part of rest of the people, there is nothing to worry about. You have to simply take precautions. And those people who have caught COVID, they don't have to really worry. If their immunity is good and our health systems are generally good, and if they can pull it for 14 days, they will survive. So this awareness that COVID is not like a poison. If you cyanide, if you touch it, you are going to die. That is not correct. COVID is like a flu. If your body is strong enough, you will pull through. That awareness everybody has to have. They have to understand one. So, and how we can pull through, we'll discuss. I'll take that in second part of the question. Secondly, people are living inside their homes for more than 2 months. And obviously, a lot of frustration has crept in. And but as you know, every adversity is an opportunity. In these times of rat race where everybody was running, I have to do this, I have to do that. If I don't do this, if I don't go to work today, if I don't meet this person, I am going to lose money, I am going to lose my career, I am going to lose my life, I will not be a famous person. All that thing has become irrelevant. COVID has proven that it is irrelevant. So what COVID has given us the opportunity is we can be with our families, we can be together again, we can do introspection, we can think about priorities of our life, we can think about what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, that we can do. Family bonding would be better. Secondly, I'll come to more materialistic kind of an answer. If you
Just
see,
pause here. I think you made a very valid point. In fact, COVID has slowed lives down. It has made people introspect. It has made people think. I think the point you're making is that the mad rush or the rat race which one has been living for so many years, you actually had a pause moment. You had time to reflect. You go inward. You have to figure out what you really are. You connected well with your own families. So there is a more, I would say, an introspection or internal connection with self, higher amount of awareness, maybe some bit of really beginning to know who you are, because most of us really don't figure out knowing others. You don't know who you are. So I think some bit of that internal reflection has happened. Do you think something like that is happening right now, Vijay?
it is good, yeah. See, as I told you earlier also, the every adversity is an opportunity. So with during World War I and World War II, the biggest technological development has happened during this time. So this lockdown has given us opportunity to be with our family, with our loved ones, given us time to think about ourselves. At the same time, see we will have this particular COVID, if it continues, if we don't get the vaccine, then it does not mean that world is going to stop living. We will have economy running, we will have businesses running, we will have every single sector functioning. They have to function, otherwise we'll not be able to lead our lives. But does that mean we'll not do all this? So what we'll have to do is we will have to improvise. We'll have to find new ways of doing the things which are important for us. For example, think of times when computers were not there. Everything used to be on paper, registers, and books. And when the computers came, people also agitated that it is going to take over their jobs. Now, can you imagine a life without computers? And we have adapted. It has given more jobs. It has made our lives better. So now with the COVID, what does COVID requires? It only requires that you, till the time you get immune, you should not gather. You should maintain the social distancing. So we will have to come out with solutions which will ensure that you maintain social distancing and at the same time, you get the job done. Now everybody has started working from home. Great. Similarly, we'll bring in solutions which will ensure that we don't have to move out more and physical contacts are more, and only those people who have to be out in field, they go out and do the work. Maybe we will bring in a lot of what do we say, AI, the more of machines for doing our jobs, and we'll bring in a lot of protection for those people who are working in the field. So we will adapt, we will improvise. It will take some time, but we'll find out solutions, and those solutions are going to improve the overall quality of life. So this crisis,
So that's a very important point being made here, is that we can think that COVID of any other lifetime event, like a war, like a situation where there is a complete rejig of existing practices. A new normal gets created. And the way, while you are talking at the same time from industry, I can say that even our thought process is that go digital, work from homes, have a leaner structure, and the field team which goes on strength is extremely well protected. So protection is going to be very important, and that looks clearly like the new normal. From as an industry person, I can confirm that we are in deep alignment with what you are saying. I'll just pause here, Vijay, because a lot of questions coming. I think Paramjit Singh Ahuja ji, who is 79 back architecture, he talked about the herd immunity, and I think his question is answered. There are questions coming in from Sridhar Mahulkar. He's saying that all over India police team is doing a great job in view of COVID-19. However, some places like Indore or else people are not respecting police team. What can be done better to change people's mind? I would like to just add on here and come very specifically to Kerala. So Vijay, I think the reason why we are really talking is that we are so proud of your achievement that perhaps Kasaragod in Kerala is one unique event, not only in the country, perhaps globally, where I would say you, along with your entire machinery, has achieved some phenomenal success. There are such immense learnings from this activity. We would like to really hear from you that before getting into nitty-gritties, how did the leaders like you and also the ministers come together to solve a particular problem, which is the war against COVID, and not get tangled into bureaucracies and into red tapeism and silos of a village panchayat level working. For example, at every panchayat level there are wards, and I understand you guys have gone really micro and have built in a whole lot of granular intelligence network, very deep communication, and actually made Kasaragod one hell of a rare event in the entire country. First of all, my compliments to you on behalf of the engineering fraternity, and as a batchy, we are very proud of what you did. In our eyes, this deserves nothing less than a Nobel Prize to you and to all of you. While you get or not is different, but you will get it from me and all our batches. We would like to really hear from you. How did the minister think, and how did that particular SHO in a small local panchayat or a station come together beyond the call of duty of just securing? He in fact took care of people, took care of containment, and gotten food to the people, was communicating. There's quarantine disciplines were being followed. So while I read a lot of stuff, there is something unique which you have been able to achieve. And one would like to really hear your story and also the minister's story on how you both collaborated and how we trusted an officer like you to really solve this problem and at least contain the problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the great words. And I'm really grateful. I should say that you are my best buddy.
Always. You're realizing it after 28 years.
You have asked a very important question. Means how did Kerala did so well, and what is the Kerala model? And more importantly, a generalized question can be how COVID can be fought and defeated. So I'll go into a monologue. So if you are getting bored, just remind me and you can pause me. So I'll speak for another 10 minutes at stretch to make you understand how can we defeat COVID. Okay. So starting from the start, as we know, COVID does not have any treatment. Until vaccine comes, we will have to take a lot of precautions. So one part in fight against COVID, as usual, is treatment. If somebody becomes positive, our health officials, doctors, nurses, sanitation workers, they take care of the positive people, COVID positive people, and after 14 days, they recover. So because there is no treatment, we have no other option, no other alternative but to contain the spread of virus. So this containment, what we have to understand is virus has a very short life when it is not in the human body. Various studies have told certain things, but it does not survive more than 6 hours. This is what people say. But primarily the infection spreads from one person to other person. The virus can survive only in body. It can reproduce only in the body. So a person can only transmit virus to another person. So if somehow we can prevent this contact of one person to another person, we would be able to prevent the spread of virus. So that is basically containment. And when we talk about restricting movement of people, then the police department has the expertise to restrict people, whether it is crowd control or VVIP security or managing big events. So, or arresting people, keeping them in confinement, controlling their behavior. This is all what police does, and they have the expertise in doing that. So that is why all over India, you must have seen police departments are at the forefront. So
No,
there
I must stop you here. Everywhere police is at forefront, and everywhere police is doing what it could. But there is something different about the way police has gone about using its intelligence in Kerala, and everybody, there is lockout is everywhere. People are quarantined, but somewhere there is something more which meets the eye, where perhaps the police has taken more ownership on itself to able to do things which I'm not seeing. For example, we are very worried in Bombay. Every tower where I say next to it, there is a COVID case here. Outside, if I step out, there's a containment zone. My office in Kurla, in BKC, it's a real hot spot. So, I mean, it is just increasing. So what is that? At an intent level, some things have happened without meddling with without politics. There's something more which has happened where police has done something extra. And Kerala is a tourist destination. You are importing viruses all the time. First it came from foreigners, and then they bred it into localites, and then localites can mutate into others. So there is something, Vijay, which happened at a fundamental level. What is that approach which is missing in other states? And I'm very keen to really understand, how did you guys go about sizing this problem?
Okay, this is what I was trying to come to. I'll tell you about what is the containment strategy. See, what I'll do is I will narrate what we have done in Kasaragod, and that model is now extended to rest of Kerala, and most of the states are doing it in some degree of variation or other. So what happened was Kerala is the first state where the first virus of India was basically reported in Kerala. And then Kerala, India's biggest hotspot, the first hotspot of India was in Kerala, that is Kasaragod. And Kerala has the distinction of imposing first lockout in entire India even before the general lockout was reported. So what happened was from 17th of March onwards, suddenly there was a spurt in reporting of positive cases in Kasaragod. So on 20th of March, government of Kerala decided that they will impose lockdown in Kasaragod. So they issued orders, but incidentally, the local administration, local police, they were not able to enforce lockdown. Then on next 2 days, many more cases reported. On 23rd, there was a huge peak. So then Honorable CM sir called me and said, Vijay, why don't you go there and contain the spread of infection? I am worried. I feel that community spread is about to start. And if it starts, then it will go out of control. So why don't you go and control the spread of virus?
Wow, yes. I'll pause you here. So the chief minister took a call to send a police officer there and actually deputed you to take charge of the situation. And am I reading it right, that it was actually empowering you as the officer in charge, that you supersede everything and you go take charge and address the problem? So that it was full ownership given to you to contain the problem?
Yeah, actually, you must say that this is the all credit goes to our chief minister. It is his political acumen and the leadership quality who has understood the dimensions of the problem very early. As I told you previously, that virus can transmit only by human contact, and only police can prevent the human contact. That is why an officer of the rank of IGP, it is not my area. I am not posted, the Kasargod is not part of my jurisdiction.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it all,
people would listen more to a police on the road than listening to a district collector. I mean, if a collector comes and says, don't move around, who would listen to a collector? But if there is a police who's got all intelligence and police comes forward and says, guys, this is what you have to do, I think the acceptability of a police, and perhaps somewhere the minister understood he had the real intent of solving the problem. Is that what really mattered? Is that what made the difference, Vijay?
that is a very important intervention. See, if you want to, if the only solution is containing the spread of virus, and CM believed that it can be done by the police department, that is why for controlling a pandemic, which is normally done by the health officials and the revenue officials, a police officer was posted. So I must, the all credit goes to him. My job was only to execute. So I went there on 24th. The story goes like this. The leadership, basically the political leadership, decided that police should be given frontline role for containing the spread of virus. So in response to that, I went there. I reached there on 24th morning, and situation was extremely fragile. The district was about to enter into community transmission phase of COVID. And so we decided, I visited several places. I spoke to the district officials, the revenue official, district collector, superintendent of police, and all of them. Made assessment and uh, held a conference to Zoom with all the police officials. And I told them our strategy, how we are going to go about in for the containment program. So as part of that, first thing was the protection of the protector. So police personnel should, while doing their job, should not get infected. Because if they get infected, then I will not have people on ground, foot on ground, feet on ground to contain. So we told them how to, I demonstrated them, how are you going to make a visit to a quarantine person's home, what questions you are going to ask, how you are going to stop the vehicles, how you are going to challenge people, how you are going to make arrests, all that thing. They have been given protective gear, mask, gloves, sanitizers, all those things we did on 24th. 25th is the day we started applying our, implementing our strategy. So strategy, as the name goes, is called as triple lock strategy. As you know, if you have to contain something, you put it in the lock, our homes when we go out. So we decided that we will keep virus under the lock. So that is how the strategy of locks. So lock one is basically a generalized lock. What we did was, Kasargod is a border district. It borders Karnataka. So we cut off the district from the Karnataka, one. Secondly, adjoining district is district of Kannur, which later on became a hotspot, and I went there and we contained that as well. So we cut off the Kannur district from Kasargod as well. Then the villages were cut off from each other. Later on in the towns, the bigger towns, within the towns, we erected roadblocks and created zones within the towns. So what happens because of that is the movement was not free. On 25th morning, when people came out, they were huge in numbers. So we told them, boss, the only exemption given to you is you can come out to provide essential services or to buy essential goods. So if you are not, if you have come out for doing nothing of that, then you have to go to police station. So a lot of vehicles were seized, a lot of cases were taken, people were turned back. And then enforcement of social distancing. A car has to have 1+1, motorcycle rider has to be a single person. Then in the markets, we did not allow people to go in one go. So in market, suddenly at 11 o'clock, we found that 2,000 people are in the queue in cars. So we gave them some time stamping we did, vouchers we did, so that at a one point of time only 100% can go in the market. So by doing all this, within couple of days time, the people who used to come out, their number was brought down to almost 5% of the actual number. Cases were taken. This has been done everywhere. So idea was to create compartments and don't allow people to come out of their homes. They should come out only when it is required. For example, people used to come for buying milk in the morning and eggs in the afternoon and ice cream in the evening. So we said, boss, you make a list and buy your provisions for 7 days. And we used to take photographs of the vehicles and the person, that if you see you again, then your vehicle will be seized and you will be shifted to institution quarantine. So it had great effect. Within 2 days, we brought down the number of people coming out to almost 5% of what it used to be earlier. That was lock 1. Lock 2 was a more focused strategy. So what happens is, as I have told you earlier, the Bombay has population of 2 crores, let's say, but positive people are only 78,000.
Before you move to lock 2, let me just buttress the point a little more finer. So effectively, what I heard from you, lock 1 was something the local police has, first of all, omnipresence, more like an Indian post office or let's say call the civil supplies and rationing. It has omnipresence. It has the power and the teeth. People listen to police. It has the intelligence, and you guys use that to the forefront and actually did a lot of micro level planning where you compartmentalized, where you clearly made boundaries, and then you had built in a deep communication and intelligence within your systems. And within 48 hours, you were able to instill a sense of discipline. In fact, that's one question which Dr. D.V.K. Gupta has raised, and the concern expressed by Piyush also is on a similar line. So effectively, you guys were able to create something of that nature where people actually only came out with a certain amount of planning, and that was the success, your lock 1, which came out and which really helped in terms of engendering the right behavior in the minds of the civilians. Is that, does that kind of describe the lock 1 execution?
Yeah, you are bang on. See, even now, if I go home to Nagpur and if I'm driving a car.
When are you getting transferred to Nagpur and Bombay? We would prefer that we talk to the minister and tell that we don't need any more IS officers. To let him support Vijay. Let him come and do what he has to do, because the entire police force really understands the micros, the ins and outs and everything. And if they are really given the task, I'm relatively sure that the trend in Bombay can get reversed. Well, this is my wishful thinking. I'm just listening to you with rapt attention and trying to make out that it is so concerning, and we really thinking that how does this practice, if not percolate to places like Bombay, Nagpur, Indore, wherever we are seeing the wave 2 happening, the spikes happening. So this is a very important concern, Vijay. We really wonder how the machineries, the government, the political forces have this will and intent, and this really becomes the reality.
Manish, it will be unfair to say that those governments are not doing enough. It will be unfair. They are doing their best. There is no doubt about it. And I have all faith and belief and confidence that there are people, and bureaucracy in Maharashtra is great. They have great police officers, and people are also great. So they must be doing whatever is possible for containing this particular virus.
How do they get empowered more is the question.
I'll come, because as I continue my monologue, I will tell you. So what I was trying to say, as you highlighted the role of police, see, even now when I go to Nagpur and I drive my car, sorry, if I see a traffic cop, I'm scared. I always feel that he's going to catch me and he's going to challan me. So in India, yes, people are scared of police and scared in the positive sense. I am not saying that it's not like the Bollywood kind of a thing. People listen to police
Not
and the
like
only agency.
Vijay Dinanath Chauhan, Vijay Sakre, something in that same league. In fact, now
No.
new movie of Amitabh Bachchan will look like Vijay Sakre naam hai hamara.
As I started, it is not it cannot be a personality oriented thing. It is a team effort. A lot of people have to work together, and police department always works together. Yeah, है ना? So singling out a person or personality would be unfair. है ना? So what I am trying to say.
Well, you're being politically correct, so I'll keep quiet. I won't get there. I quickly listen to your lock 2 and lock 3 now. There are many questions bubbling up. So आप हमें थोड़ा lock 2, lock 3 के बारे में बताइए आपने क्या.
Right. So what happens is why police becomes important is they are the people who can enforce law and people listen to them. They may not listen to other authorities that they may not comply to them, but police they comply. Okay, coming to lock 2, what we did was, see what happens is in Kasaragod, the virus has come from the foreign country. It has not started in India. So in phase 1, now things have changed. The virus was brought by the people who were residing in foreign countries. They came back to India. They started turning positive. So whenever somebody turns positive, then we have something called as primary contact and secondary contact. Primary contact means if I become positive and if I come in contact with you, you become primary contact. And if you have come in contact with another person, that person becomes secondary contact. So what we did, whenever a person gets positive, then we do the contact tracing. Contact tracing, I'll come in later part of our talk. Then remind me to talk about contact tracing. Okay. The fight against COVID has 3 distinct features. One is contact tracing. Second is the isolation or containment. The third is obviously testing. So by contact tracing, we found out who are the primary, secondary, and tertiary contacts and who are the positive persons. And we mapped their locations on a GIS. So we knew where these people live. And once we analyzed the GIS, we found out that the entire district is not affected by the COVID. The people who are affected live in certain geographically distinct areas. Now we call them as clusters, and now everybody has adopted that policy. They are called as containment zones. So what we did, we isolated these areas from rest of the district. So there were 11 such areas in which 25,000 people, close to 25,000 people were residing, who were either primary contact or secondary contact, or these people had come from abroad, and quarantined people. So the containment zone means it has only one entry and one exit. Rest of the roads are blocked and they are manned by the police personnel. And only doctors and health officials are allowed to come out or enter the area, or who has medical emergency. Only those people are allowed. So we created these containment zones. So what happens is, if a positive person has stayed in a particular area and primary and secondary contacts are living in this area, then the possibility of spread of infection in that particular geographical area is very high. So other people can become positive there, because if I'm staying up in a place, I will go for buying my groceries to the grocery store. So all of them can become contacts and they can then develop symptoms and they can become positive. So once you cut off these areas, then the infection will get localized in those areas. They will not be able to come out. One. Secondly, within the containment zone, we ensured that people do not come out. The lockdown enforcement was much more higher. So we use drones, we use mobile patrols to ensure that these people stay home. So that is how the lock 2 was implemented. There were 11 distinct areas wherein in Kasaragod we did that. So that was lock 2. So what we have done is the infection was locked in to certain areas, 11 areas. So rest of the district is free of infection threat. Okay. So that is lock 2. Now coming to lock 3, the lock 3 is the most focused and targeted strategy of containing infection. If a person becomes positive, he has primary and secondary and tertiary contacts. We knew their residences. So what we did, if our strategy was very simple, anybody who has potential to infect others or transmit infection should stay home. At whatever cost, we should keep him at home. If he becomes positive, we will take him to the hospital. If he doesn't become positive, there are many people who are asymptomatic carriers. After 14 days, he will be all right. So if he stays home, he will not be able to infect others. So that was our strategy. We have 25,000 people like this. So in order to keep them at home positively, we created this lock 3. What is lock 3? There was a person who became positive. His virus was extremely virulent. He was super spreader. 21 people who came in contact with him became positive. He had close to 121 positive primary and secondary contacts. So in front of this 121 persons, we posted a police guard. So 24/7, the guard used to be there, and nobody staying in that house can come out. To ensure their physical confinement, this thing was done. That was first intervention. Second intervention is 25,000 people were living in 11 district areas. I do not have enough force with me. I had only 950 police personnel in Kasaragod district. It's a small backward district. I cannot place all of them in front of 25,000 persons house. So what we did, we created motorcycle patrols. So a motorcycle patrolman was given charge of 15 to 20 houses. He used to go and visit all these houses in a beat. And his job was, if he goes to first house, we have given him the list of persons who are staying in that house, quarantine person. He will call all of them to the porch or to the balcony. He will take the physical attendance of these people, whether they are there or not.
Wow.
One, to
This
check.
is real micro planning. Absolutely fabulous.
Second thing, we will ask about their health. How are they feeling? Third, whether they need anything. And I will come to this meeting.
Wow,
where
actually, this is actually not at all like even a police officer. I mean, typically you expect police to ask different questions. Here you're coming on the beat, you're checking on wellness, you're checking on health, you're taking information. So clearly things are very different. I yet not see that happening in other parts really. At least I have not sensed it. So this is something really deep. This is a real micro level of intervention which you and the forces have implemented.
Yeah, actually, see, the government, if you talk of government have resources, and the objective right now was to prevent the infection. And for that, you have to do several different jobs, which may not be specifically limited to policing. So what we did was, our intervention is basically combination of professional policing, lot of technology, I will talk about it, and the community policing. So coming back to our point, these policemen used to basically go to one house and used to ask this question. Then he used to move to second house. And likewise, in a day, he used to visit all these people at least twice. So they could not have gone out. That was its second intervention. Third intervention was, we brought in drones.
Wow.
Like,
Really is like a pot boiler Hindi movie. I have not thought of a police officer getting in drones to contain COVID. At least I have not seen in Maharashtra anywhere if drones have been thought of. This really is sounding like a pot boiler, my dear friend. What did you do with drones?
what we did was, these 25,000 people, we told them, boss, motorcycle patrol is coming, but he may not be there all the time. We cannot put guards in front of every single house. So then we said, boss, don't go out. We have put drones on top of your homes. So we created a drone beat. So when these two persons are not there, the drones used to take the aerial photograph and videographs. And we showed the residents, don't try to come out. Otherwise, there is a drone on top of you. And if we find out, then there will be a criminal case against you, one. And number two, you will be moved out from the confines and comforts of home to the institutional quarantine, where there will not be a TV and you will get the food from community kitchen. So, so that was third thing we did. Fourth thing we did was, see, Kerala is highly urbanized and highly developed state, and we have very good CCTV network here, which is basically owned privately. It is not owned by us. So we got list of all the CCTV cameras around surrounding the residence of a particular quarantined person. And every day in a beat, we used to send one officer to check CCTV footages. Whether when all these three first interventions are not there, that time if he tries to come out, we'll get him. So that also helped us. That was intervention number 4. Fifth, we involved community also. We told neighbors, boss, if you want to be protected, if you want our society be safe, then don't allow this person to come out. If he comes out, you let us know. And we 100 number is a very popular number. So you tell us. So they also snooped on to their neighbors for us. So that was fifth intervention.
Wow.
Involving community. Okay. Sixth and most important intervention in fight against the COVID was we had developed an app. When I reached Kasargod on 24th morning, even before reaching there for the Cochin city, I was developing an app which was ready. It is named as a COVID safety app. So what we did was we installed this app in the phone of each and every quarantined person. So what this app does, it has two features. One, it has a SOS button. So if you press that button, we get to know that a person requires some help. And we used to contact him, and many people needed services for emergency medical situations. We sent ambulances, some people needed medicines and all that.
So this
that
COVID safety app was your brainchild?
Absolutely, yes.
So actually, which means that mechanical engineers are deploying engineering in police solutions?
Police is also engineering.
Police is a form of engineering, but I am so gladdened and our hearts are so full that, truly speaking, while we may study for 4 years in a college and we think that in a real work, how does a degree is useful or not, it is. And after 27, 28, as I hear that somebody who did mechanical engineering then actually becomes a police officer and actually thinks, man, I need an app here. And then you design an app and install it into all the people who are tested positive. Wow, let's hear this story. This is actually really phenomenal. I mean, probably government should take cues that how can such intelligence be created, and micromanaging or monitoring of a situation, because let's understand what has happened. This is growing exponentially, and here is an officer who is decimating. So there is an exponential growth and there is a decimation, and there exist these solutions in the country. And unfortunately, I wonder how learning from one can be transported to another. So I really hope, Vijay, that whatever you've spoken about on triple lock, lock 1, lock 2, and now lock 3, and while to you, these are all logical steps, but in my mind, it's looking like a standard operating process. And if this can be really digitized, technologized, and implemented as a process all across the country, there is a lot of hope. In fact, I'm proud that an officer of a batch of such caliber, it actually brings hope, because the way things are exponentially rising, there is a way out to crack the problem, and you seem to have it. I really hope how this kind of really reaches places.
Yeah. Just let me go further. I'll take another 4-5 minutes to finish my.
We're actually at 8:05, so I'm conscious of time. I just want to finish the triple lock and then come to series of other questions which are there.
Quickly, I will finish it off in 3-4 minutes. Okay.
Sure.
So the COVID safety app, they gave us the location, and users could send us emergency messages. One. Second and most important part of COVID safety app was, if anybody moves beyond 50 meters, we used to get an alert. And when we used to get alert, the first time we used to call up and tell, SHO used to visit and tell him with this very sweetly and politely, boss, we know you had gone out. This is your first and last mistake. If you do it next time, there will be a case against you, against your family, and you will be transported to quarantine. Second time we did that. In 2 weeks time, we registered 1600 FIRs and
Huh,
shifted 300 persons out of their home.
huh.
And we gave it huge publicity in the local media, local channels, print, electronic, and all that, and told everybody, boss, we are watching you. Don't attempt this. And you can't imagine. One of the MLA's brother was picked up and he was taken away like this, and it became absolute news there. After that, there was a general impression that police is watching, and let us stay at home. They stayed at home. Okay, so that is how these 333 locks ensured that a person who can infect others stays indoor. So virus does not go out. That is one thing. Secondly, what we have to understand is you cannot put somebody by force and make him stay in home indoors. So he will have a lot of he or she will have essential needs. So you have to fulfill them. For example, medical emergencies. In times of COVID, doctors are the most precious commodities, and everywhere there are a lot of non-COVID related emergencies, like people get heart attacks, they have kidney trouble, they have stone trouble, some pregnancy related issues. So in such times, if you have quarantined them, if you don't allow them to go out, how will they get the medical help? So we created a platform by name Swaraksha. It's basically a telemedicine platform. So wherein if anybody who needs help, he has to just send a audio, video, and text message to us, and our COVID control room polices used to contact them, and we used to connect that person with the doctors. We had around 100 doctors on our panel from all big hospitals all across Kerala. They used to talk to these people. They used to prescribe medicines, and that is how these people got relief. And wherever there was severe emergency, we shifted the patients, the quarantine person, to the hospital. That is one very important intervention. And I can tell you, close to 25,000 people have used this particular platform of
Wow.
telemedicine.
Wow.
One. Second thing we did was, if you're locked in and you require provisions, you require medicines, how will you get it? So we created a home delivery system of police, and by name Amritan. So what you have to do is, if I require medicine, I have to just text to a particular number, and after 3 hours, policemen used to deliver it at the doorsteps.
Wow.
And we called it as the amazing home delivery system of police.
Wow.
We use we have Malayalam cinema is a big cinema. We use superstars. We created some films, and which basically were widely circulated for promoting these services. So the idea was, by using our three locks, we have ensured that people stay indoors. And
so clearly, I am sensing that I have not heard of any police officer talk about things like medicine, digital platform, food supplies, drones, micro monitoring, communication. So actually it is a complete holistic involvement of police and going beyond the call of just providing security. That's actually the perception which most civilians have. And so it's a very comprehensive view where you deployed virtually every possible element to diffuse the situation.
Yeah. So now you are right here. I'll come to, that is why I said containment is entirely job of police. Okay. So as I told you earlier, any containment strategy has three very important components. One is contact tracing. Second is isolation or containment. For that, we have the triple lock strategy. Third is testing. Testing anyhow is done by the health officials. When we talk about contact tracing, see, for example, Mumbai has 2 crore people. And what you have to understand is all those 2 crore people cannot infect others. Only there are few, 70,000 right now, who can infect others. So you have to understand, you have to identify first who are those potentially suspected persons who can infect others. For that, contact tracing is important. So what we did, normally it is done by the health official, some sanitary inspector or health inspector carries out this particular thing, but he doesn't have the expertise or the knowledge of investigation. So what I did in Kasaragod was I created 30 teams led by at least some inspector. His job was As soon as a particular person is reported positive, we used to trace all his contacts by questioning his friends, relatives, family members, doctors, all at one. Then we use lot of technology and our investigative skill. Police, it is like an investigation. Who has come in contact with that? For that, we use all our investigative skills. We use a lot of technology, like we took CDRs, call data records. We took IPDR, Internet Protocol data records. We checked the CCTV cameras. And on our GIS, we try to figure out who could have come in contact with him, and we made that list, and that list was 50% more than what was created by the health inspector. Once that contact tracing was done by the police, then by using triple lock we ensured that these people stay at home, they do not come out, so infection does not come out of the home, and after 14 days these people all get cured. So infection remains confined in the home, and rest of the district, rest of the population of the district, they don't have to worry, they remain safe.
Absolutely. I think, Vijay, that's absolutely an immense job done. And I can actually see how these 4 years of engineering and also the thought process in your mind, where you've really used technology to the hilt and went beyond the call of duty and did many things in collaboration. And I think there are a host of questions. Maybe I can just run through them right now, so that which are unanswered, we will take them. What has been answered so far is question of Mr. Ahuja, Paramjit Singh Ahuja. Thank you. You spoke about herd immunity. Okay, there is my coach. And see, there is a very good question, Vijay. There is a sense of right sizing of life in all aspects: personal, professional, social, physical. The excesses of life have been flattened out as an upside of COVID. What are your thoughts? Maybe let's park this question. We'll come to that. Then there are questions about a lot of complimenting on All India Police Team. Mr. Vivek Deshpande is asking for having a chai pe charcha with us. Sridhar Mahulkar, 1900 Met batch. That sounds very old, Mr. Mahulkar. You must be more than 100 years old by that logic. Piyush is complimenting, is talking a lot about government machinery, especially police, medical professionals in various districts. Why are special efforts not special efforts are able to reduce the spread of COVID in these areas? So questions about how is it happening in Kerala, why not in these other questions? Mr. Gupta's questions have been answered. I don't know who is 0184440. He's already welcoming Vijayji in Nagpur or Pune. Sridhar Mahulkar, he wants you quickly over there. So that's his demand. And now I'm coming to open questions, apart from the question of Anshi. What is your view on hyper local market getting disturbed because of e-commerce joints coming up? Abhay Gandhi, 89 batch electronics. Vijayanti V is saying that 93 batch Meta. How do you think hospitality industry will come out of this? Then Pradeep Kumar KS actually is very proud of your achievement and is saying a Keralite now settled in Mumbai. He's actually suggesting that you should also do the same. And he says Bombay has high population density and we've lost 33 police persons already. And how are you anticipating the challenges to police forces after such a large number of people are expected to get into crowded areas now onwards? Vaccine may take time. So he's ex-director HNSC group on Bhabha Atomic. So he believes that vaccine will take time to come. And COVID deaths in police person, apart from challenges law and order, complicated with loss of job and income. How will you keep the morale of police forces up? So that's his question. Well, I think Praful Revatkar is actually wanting to coming you back to Nagpur. He's eager to meet you personally and share a lot. So I think let's take these questions, which have been just put a plethora of questions together and answer some of them. So you've heard some of them, and let's try and decimate some of these questions one by one.
Let us come to the title of the today's discussion. One is life with COVID. So life with COVID is not going to be easy. We cannot move out freely and use our freedom to the hilt. It is not going to happen. So we will have to maintain social distancing all the time. We will have to take precautions. One. Secondly, all of us will have to help in containment of the virus. It is possible. Virus cannot come home uninvited unless you invite it and bring it to home. Okay. obviously we will have to, as I talked earlier, we will have to safeguard our seniors and our young ones. Okay. Now, what effect it is going to have on tourism industry or any kind of industry? Let us say there is a specific question about hotel industry. See, the government of India from tomorrow onwards has opened up hotels also. They have opened up restaurants also. People will travel. They will stay in the hotels. The food would be served in the rooms generally. So you don't come in contact with anyone. One. Secondly, if you want to use restaurants, you can use restaurant. You will have to maintain social distancing. The responsibility of ensuring social distancing in the hotel would lie on the hotel owner. So he will have to bring in protocols so that people do not violate this social distancing norms and endanger people. It is possible. It is not that, for example, Kerala in Kasargod was the hotspot. We never had a single policeman getting infected. Why? Because we followed the protocol. I took the lead. I went to the homes of positive persons, and from a distance of 10 meters, we spoke to them over phone loudly and interacted with them. Similarly, while doing the duties of enforcing lockdown, the checking of vehicles, arresting people, we developed protocols. And like doctors, we come in contact with these people directly. But not a single policeman became infected because we developed standard operating procedures which were very safe. Similarly, every industry, whether it is hotel or the manufacturing, will have to develop their SOPs, protocols, which will ensure that social distancing norms are maintained. Rest of the things remain same. So I really do not think, yes, obviously there will be questions of, viability, the profitability and all that. But what I can say that we will have to factor in the challenges posed by COVID. I cannot say that though it is COVID time, I can create a manufacturing platform or a manufacturing place where people would be congested and working in huge number. It is not possible. If you do that, you will be able to continue only for a couple of weeks. After that, if somebody becomes positive, all your workers will become positive. If somebody dies, then there would be lot of legal ramifications, which no industrialist, no manufacturing unit or service provider would like to go through. So we will have to bring in these social distancing norms and precautions in each and every place. Obviously, it is going to cut down into profits and viability initially, but over the period of time, obviously, accordingly, the costings will also change. The costs of providing service will also undergo change. And all of us would be able to bring in protocols which would ensure safe working environment while COVID will still be there. So I think because we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice because if we do not do that, the legal ramifications are going to be extremely severe. Okay. So that is as far as hotel industry is concerned, and I think I have answered about. And the same thing applies to everyone. We cannot imagine a situation in Mumbai wherein locals would be equally congested. What we have seen prior to COVID, we'll have to bring in these kind of protocols which will ensure that.
Have we lost Vijay? Gagan, I'm not able to.
Yes, I think again internet connection. I'll just ping him on WhatsApp and
We expect him to join back. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm conscious that we probably will have last 10 minutes of time now. I must really say, you would have heard what an engineer of batch 1992 VRC has done something unique and remarkable, where typically going beyond of what a normal police officer would do. He has assumed full charge of an area, has actually got the medics, the bureaucracy, and so to speak, the entire the district health officers to work with him, the district collectors to work with him, and rallied with technology and has micromanaged the situation. And actually something which is exponentially rising, he's been able to decimate and contain the problem. So there definitely exists a solution in the country, Kasargod or Kerala, God's own country, which is home to a whole lot of, I would say, tourists and international, foreign, domestic, all put together. But despite that, this state and this concerned officer has been able to evolve a methodology where this menace can be tackled. If it can't be defeated, it can be controlled or contained. And that is something which is absolutely remarkable. As the engineering badge fraternity of Vijay, we all are very proud of his achievements. And I hope he really comes back. But overall, there have been very deep questions in terms of how life has changed, how life will change. As an industry person, I can mention that there is no other option. We did a survey of 14,500 small and medium enterprises, and it is coming out very clearly that more than 30 to 50% of the top line carnage will happen in this particular financial year. The entrepreneurs or the businessmen or the industries have no option but to go lean, cut costs, get productive, get digital. There'll be more work out of home. The offices will be far more leaner. The ways of working are going to significantly change. This will induce a lot of stress. It is all actually endemic into each one's life on how we cope up with the stress. I really hope that each one of us connect with our own internal self, and we really figure out ways of going deep within your own self, look at your consumption patterns, revisit our lifestyles, get over excesses. While these may not be the prescriptive answers, but certainly this crisis is also here to give us fairly deep messages, telling us how to reorganize lives. I feel we can bring the session to a close. I don't see, unfortunately, Vijay coming back, but I thank each one of you and everybody. Joginder ji, any closing words from you before we wrap up the session?
We are very thankful to Mr. Vijay Sakre and Manish Jaiswal to spare a very valuable time for NIT fraternity, and being a president of PAN NIT, I am thankful, once again thankful to you and Vijay Sakre.
It's absolutely been my joy and my pleasure in connecting with the 13 NITs, our alumni, students, faculty, whoever. And I actually get a message that Vijay is trying to join in. So just wait for a minute if Vijay can come in.
Okay.
And if he does, that's going to be great. But I think it is very joyful. We love to spend time for our fraternity, for our batchmates, for the engineering community as a whole. There's a very deep camaraderie, and I think I can only commit to you, Joginder Singh.
Manish, PAN NIT में हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? We are just branding PAN NIT. कि हम ये बताना चाहते हैं कि नेशन बिल्डिंग में NITians का कितना हाथ है और कहाँ कहाँ पर है. तो जब मैंने लास्ट सर्वे किया था 2 साल पहले, तो आउट ऑफ वेरी बिग कंपनीज हेड्स जो हैं, 80% इज अवर NITians. एज वी आर नॉट इन ए फैमिलियर प्लेटफॉर्म, तो हमको मालूम नहीं है कौन कहाँ है. तो PAN NIT जो है सबसे ज़्यादा इसी इसमें लगी है कि वी वांट टू ब्रिंग ऑन ए कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म, सो दैट हमें मालूम चले कि राउरकेला NIT से भी काफ़ी लोग IPS हैं या और भी अलग अच्छी MDs हैं. तो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को ये मालूम मिलना चाहिए कि NIT क्या कर रहा है और NIT कितना प्रोग्रेस कर रहा है आगे. दिस इज अवर इंटेंशन बिहाइंड द PAN NIT Alumni Forum.
It's a very wonderful initiative. I can't be more thankful, and I think I'm very happy to see seniors like you are taking such moves and promoting NITs. All I can tell you is that once you pass out, everybody comes out in a new start line of life. and what you have studied, where you have studied. I think all that you have to put behind, and just whatever we have learned in our lifetimes, we have to really apply ourselves and get going. So it's wonderful, and I would love to contribute in whatever manner we all can as fraternity for this cause, Jogendra Singh ji. So
Sure,
please
sure.
feel free to lean on us.
Okay.
I think it will be only fair that we wrap up the session now, and if
Yeah,
needed, we can do a round 2 of the session at some other time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
ladies and gentlemen. Thanks once again. Bye-bye.